A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. Okay? So when we are finding a percent, that means to divide by 100. Okay? Per means for every. An example of this would be 100 miles per hour. So you would drive 100 miles for every hour. Okay? When we talk about cents, that means 100. Right? A century is 100 years. So cent means 100. All right. Now looking at the applications that we will use percents within, we have our proportions. So if we were to take A divided by B, that can equal P over 100. Okay? So when we're talking about A would be a part. So to find the percentage, we would take a part divided by the base, or the whole value of something. All right? So if we were to divide the part by the base, that would be the same as dividing P, which is a percent, by 100. It's important to realize that B cannot equal 0. Because if you were to divide something by 0, so take K divided by 0, that would just equal 0. And if you were to take any number divided by 0, that would be undefined. All right, so when setting up these proportions and percentage problems, we can use this equation. A, which is the part, equals P percentage. So this would be P divided by 100 times B, the base. All we are doing here is rearranging our original equation. So we would take A divided by B equals P divided by 100. And all we are doing to get our equation here is multiplying B to both sides, which gives us A equals P divided by 100 times B. That is how we got our equation here. So A goes with the part, and B goes with the whole. Okay? So let's take a look at examples that you guys are going to be solving in class. So we can break each of these examples into a couple different parts. So what percentage is 84? What percentage of 84 is 63? So what percentage would be our P for percentage of 84 would represent our whole, and 63 would represent our part, because 63 is a part of 84. Okay, so we can solve this either using our proportions, which is what we looked at up here, or we can solve it using our equation. Okay, so using proportions, we are going to set up our part, which is A, so 63, over our whole, which is 84, equals our percent, which is what we're trying to find, P, over 100. Remember, to solve for proportions, you can go ahead and take the cross product. 63 times 100 gives us 6,300 equals 84 times P, which is just 84P. Now, let's go ahead and solve for P. So we'll divide both sides by 84, which ultimately will equal P is 75%. All right, so that's how you solve it using proportions. We've been solving using proportions in class, so this is something you guys should be familiar with. The other way is using our equation. So in our equation, we have A, which is 63, equals P, which is our percent. So we can just leave that as P percent times B, which is 84. All you need to do to solve your equation is solve for P. So we'll divide both sides by 84. That'll give you 0.75 equals P percent. Remember, percent means to divide by 100. So at the end of your equation, make sure to multiply both sides by 100. This will cancel out your percentage. And this leaves you with P equals 75%. All right, so these are the two different ways that you can solve your percentage problems. All right, on to our second page. We have another example here. Let's set this up using proportions. And equations. Okay, so let's first look at our problem here. We have 30% of what number is 12.5. So this one's in a slightly different format than the last one that we solved, but we can break it down in a similar way. So 30% obviously represents a percentage, so we'll call that P. Of what number is asking us about our whole, or our B value, is 12.5. 12.5 represents our part. So they're asking us, what number is 12.5 a part of, which would be 30% of that number. So for our proportion, let's set it up the same. We have A, which is 12.5, divided by B, which is unknown. We are trying to find what our number is, that's our whole, equals our percentage, which is 30 is our percent, always over 100. Okay? So let's go ahead and take the cross product. That would leave us with 30x equals 12.5 times 100 is 1,250. Let's erase our equations here. We can put that over to the right. So to solve for x, let's divide both sides by 30. Which leaves us with x equals, you would have to use a calculator for this, 41.67. So that is our whole number value. Okay, Like I talked about, we can also solve this using our equation. So substitution works the exact same. We have our A value, which is 12.5, equals our percentage, which is 30%, times B, which is what we were trying to find. Okay? So remember, if we have 30%, we need to write that as 30 divided by 100, which 30 divided by 100 is 0.30 times B. So when solving this, we need to divide both sides by 0.30, which will ultimately get us x equals 41.67. Okay, same answer as we got with our proportion. We are going to work on a lot of examples in class, just like the last two. So make sure if you have questions that you ask them, and we can hopefully clear things up for you. All right, last example. I would recommend with these word problems, start by trying to set them up on your own, and then from there, you can follow along for the solving process. So within these word problems, it is our job to identify where is our percentage question within the problem. So a family sells a car to a dealership for 60% less than they paid for it. They pay for $9,000 for the car. For what price did they sell it? Okay, so they're losing money on this car over time. So if I'm to highlight the portions of this question that would help us solve the percentage problem, we obviously have 60%. We know that that's less than. Less than is a fairly important word. And then this is what we originally paid. So if I'm looking at this, I would infer that the value we paid is going to be our whole. So we can call that our B value. 60% is obviously a percentage, so we'll call that P. So now let's go through and use our proportions and equations to solve this problem. So we're trying to find the part. What did they sell it for? That is part of the value of the car. So that's A over the whole, which is 9,000, equals 60%. And remember, we write that as 60 over 100. Okay? Go ahead and solve this using the cross product. That gives us 100 times A equals 60 times 9,000, which is 5,400,000. So go ahead and solve for A. I know I made that look kind of like a Q. Divide both sides by 100, which leaves us with A equals 5,400. And in this case, we are talking about dollars. This would make sense since the family lost on selling their car from the original price. $5,400 would be a number that would make sense for a car value. Okay, so the other way we can solve this would be to use your equation. So let's set this up. We have A equals our percentage, which is 60% times B, which is 9,000. So let's rewrite 60% as a decimal, which is 0.60 times 9,000. 0.6 times 9,000, that gives us A equals $5,400. So I should have read the whole question before I jump to my conclusion, But it's saying that we are going to sell the car for 60% less than we paid for it. Our $5,400 represents our 60% of the original car's value. We know we sell for 60% less. So what we need to do here is we need to take our $9,000 and subtract it by $5,400. That'll give us $3,600 as our final value that we sold the car at, which is really 40% of the original car's value. All right, that is everything we are going to cover with percents. Make sure to come to class with any questions that you have. Thanks for watching.